Joan. For once, just be on board with what we're doing, Joan. And stop being a nudge. Let's see if the sound's working.
This is a big move.
Okay. The sound is working. And let's get into it. Welcome to the live stream where we do it live. My name is Tony, and this is my sidekick, Joan of Arc, who's very excited to be here. Right, Joan? Yeah. And we have, I think we've officially moved Hollywoke Hot Take Live, where we talk about movies in the box office, to this day, Monday, 7 p.m. Why? Well, I found myself very much under the gun on Sundays. As you know, I sell my book. Let's take a look. The Pineys, books 1 through 20, available at Amazon.com. And I do a lot of events, and a lot of these events fall on the weekends. So a lot of times on Sunday, I'm coming back from a show, and I am fried beyond belief. And doing the live stream is like another big thing on top of that. And it doesn't happen all the time, but it happens enough that it's put a lot of stress on things in my household. So I thought this would be a better time because we can actually get a more accurate representation of the weekend's box office on Monday when all the tickets are in. And I may have said this on the stream before. On Sundays, the stream is kind of estimated. Or not the stream, the box office is kind of estimated. They don't actually have the final numbers on Sunday. They're estimated on Sunday, so they can give you the weekend gross on Sunday. It's fairly accurate. I mean, they're not usually too far off, but sometimes, it could dip below 1 million or up 1 million, depending on where, the movie and how big it is or how small it is. So, hopefully this will be a more accurate representation of the box office. And not for nothing, sometimes there's not a lot of articles on Sunday. And there's more articles on Monday because the guys who run the websites that I tend to use, some of them are checked out on Sunday, and so I'm really dealing with Saturday and Friday's headlines. But we got a lot of headlines to talk about tonight. But before we get into it and talk about the box office and Supergirl, and we're going to talk a lot about Supergirl, I have a feeling. Let me tell you how my week went. So this is June, the last week of June. Yesterday, I did the Brutal Dudes podcast, which I thought was going to be live. I don't think it was live, but it went very well. So I expect to get an email at some point when it's live. I'll let you know. We talked about comics. We talked about the Jersey Devil and how to make comics, all that good stuff. If you want to know that stuff, I'm more than happy to talk about it here. The day before, on Saturday, I was at the 333 Brewery, and that's in Hamilton, New Jersey. Great town. And the brewery was really cool. A lot of hipsters. It was an author event, so it was a bunch of different authors, mostly all women writing romance stuff, and me. Which was funny. But that's sort of my, a lot of my fan base is in Hamilton. My relatives live in Hamilton. And a lot of my fans live in Hamilton, so I sold a good amount of books. Over the week, I did a bunch of events. I did Monday, I did the Medford Senior Apartments. On Wednesday, I did a senior place in the morning. I believe it was the Clayton Senior Center? No, it was in Haleyville, and that was in the morning. And then at night I did the Swedesboro Library, and then the next day I did a Taunton Run, which is another senior place, and then I did Stratford Library that night. So it was a busy week. I mean, I did 7 events if you count the podcast. So that was like an October week. And that's another thing too. October is just crazy. It's just crazy for me, and it's already filled up quite a bit. How many events do I already have for October? Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'll be back at triple threes. 6, 7, 8, 9. That's 2 on that day. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. 2 on that day, and 18 so far. And I think I got another one I don't have written down. I meant to check on that. Yeah, I think I'm missing one. So like 18 or 19 things on October already. It's only 30 days in October. That's more than half the month. So that's going to be a crazy. But it's always crazy for me in October. The Pineys is very Halloween-y, as we all know. But we're at 7 o'clock, so here we are on the new time and date. No one got my social media, apparently. So I'm just going to forge ahead. And, usually when I forge ahead, people drift in here. So hopefully, just like on a Sunday, people aren't working or whatever. I don't know. That's my big worry, is that people can't tune into the live stream because it's a weeknight and they feel it'll be too late if they work early. But, 7 p.m., that's prime time, baby. Also, they may be watching something else. I don't know. I don't want to go up against Dutton Ranch or the Taylorverse. Oh, there's Indie Phantom. Monday night. This is insane. This is total madness. This is cats and dogs living together. Total badass. Yes. Yes, it is. But I'm glad you're here, Indie Phantom. Yeah, it's just gonna have to happen, unfortunately. But we have a lot to talk about, so let's get right into it. Here is the box office for the weekend. This is total box office, so we have all the numbers down to the dollar. And number one movie is, of course, Toy Story 5. $70 million, dropping 56%, which is kind of a lot. That's kind of a lot for Toy Story 5. Considering it got a great review and great response last weekend, that's kind of a lot. So, yeah, don't sleep on the fact that Toy Story 5 has no legs. Not a lot of legs in Toy Story 5. So, who saw it? Well, it's got a big fan base and kids. Indie Phantom, the box office is the greatest story of all time. So a lot of people brought their kids, but a lot of people probably just say, catch it on Disney Plus. If you have Disney Plus, I don't even know why you would go to see this. Right? You just wait till it hits Disney Plus and you can see it. You're already paying for it. What, are you going to pay for it twice? That seems stupid. Movies are just not an appointment thing anymore. People got more to do in their life, man. I know I do. Back in the day, it was different. You could only see movies in theaters. Like way back in the day, I'm talking. Then you got, okay, now you can see it in theaters, but then you could see it on cable. Indie Phantom. People are already predicting that Obsession will beat Supergirl next week. I don't think so. I don't think so. Possibly, but I think that's a bit much. Then we got videotape, and then it was like, well, you can rent it. You can, every step brought us closer and closer to where we are now, which is, why the hell are you going to a movie theater? It's a terrible experience. It costs way more money now, on top of the fact they're constantly selling you. Who the hell wants to be sold? These popcorn holders are the dumbest thing ever. They're not quite, well, I shouldn't say they're the dumbest. First I thought Funkos were the dumbest thing ever. Then I saw Squaros, no lie, they're superheroes and all that crap, on little boxes. Squaros. Like heroes, but they're square. But right up there with that, at number 2 or 3, is definitely these popcorn holders. I don't know why you would want them. I don't know why you would collect them. Like, how much popcorn do you eat? that you need a popcorn holder. Are you going to reuse the popcorn holder? I don't think you will. It can be a souvenir, I guess, but like, wouldn't it be stupid to use the popcorn bucket for another movie? Like that to me wouldn't even make any sense. Unless the theater says, oh, if you bring back your Supergirl popcorn bucket, you can have free popcorn. In which case, wow, it would be a great purchase, right? Which would probably be a great move for the theaters, because who's going to remember to bring their popcorn bucket? Not a lot of people. Not a lot of people. A few people would, but not a lot. And you could say, here's what you could do. You could say, it's free popcorn during the run of Supergirl. Right? So that would give you a reason to buy the popcorn. Oh, I'm going to see 3 movies this week. Let's go see Supergirl first. I'll get the popcorn bucket, and then I'll keep filling it as we see more movies later in the month. It would encourage people to buy the damn things and give them a reason to do it, other than like, oh, I want a hot collectible that I could sell on eBay 10 minutes after I get it. No, don't put any popcorn in it. What are you, crazy? I'm trying to sell this thing. Like, it's just so brain dead to me. But here we are at number 2. Speaking of brain dead, Supergirl. 37 million, not 38, $102,018. I know, Joe. It's obscene. Oh, and the international box office went down. It was estimated at 30 million. What the hell do you want? All right, go away. So instead of 68 million, as was estimated on Sunday, we're down to 62 million. Indie Phantom, my predictions for next week: Minions and Monsters, number 1; Toy Story 5, number 2; Obsession, number 3; Miley Takes Alcock, number 4; and Young Washington, or whatever. Let's see. Let's do the math on this. So next week, if this thing is near 50%, it would be at 18 million. Obsession is only at 9 million, and it's going to drop next week. Probably not by 50%. It dropped by 28% from last week. So let's say it drops by 28%. That puts it right around, say, 6 million, 6.5, let's say. Supergirl's not going to go below that. For Supergirl to drop to 6.5 million, or let's say 6 million, it would have to be, that would be a drop of what? 6%, let's see, be 1/6, 20, it'd be like over 80%. Like, it would have to bottom out to like 82% drop. I don't think it could happen. Let's see, I got to do the math. Here's the calculator. So 37 times, let's say, if it was 82% drop, it would be 18%. Yeah. So it would have to drop by over 80%. I don't think it's going to drop that low. I think it'll drop pretty hard. I mean, I think it'll be probably in the 60s, low 60s. Because, yeah, there are other movies up against it. Is there anything other than Minions and Monsters? Coming soon, IMDb. Let's see. So Young Washington already came out. So it won't be Young Washington. That's July 4th. Oh, wait, that is next week. Never mind. So Young Washington, yeah, that could do... It's going to do its best on that weekend. Minions and Monsters. That's it. That's all that's coming out. Yeah, I think you might be right. Indie Phantom. Supergirl should drop about 78%. Obsession will see another surge. It could. I mean, I'm not totally discounting it, but it seems unlikely. You know, it would have to be a surge They would have to promote it and say, oh, you got to see Obsession. It's going out of theaters in a week or something. I mean, people do go to the movies on July 4th, depending on the weather. Now, the weather in this area, I believe it's supposed to rain on Saturday, which is no bueno for me because I'm outside. But it's not supposed to start until late. Let's see. Actually, now they're saying nothing. Yeah, so it may not even rain. It's going to be a scorcher, though, so nobody wants to stay outside except for the fireworks at night when people go to see movies. So the only other answer is, will they go in the day? Yeah, maybe. Some people will. Like, people who don't have any place to go for the 4th of July might say, well, I'll go to the movies. I'm off. I don't have anything else to do today. But it is, for a lot of people, just another Saturday, unless they have friends and family to hang out with. In the United States, it is a decent holiday, though. I mean, it is the holiday to barbecue, other than Memorial Day. So a lot of people are they're not going to the movies at all, Unless it rains. Like if it rains, oh yeah, the movie theater's jam-packed because there's nothing to do. And they're off. And they plan to be off. And they probably went to a barbecue that got rained out. And then they want to do something later. And there's nothing else to do other than maybe sit in somebody's house and watch a movie, which a lot of people are doing more and more. So this movie, no way it makes its money back. Next week might do, let's say it does 13, puts it at 50. Week after that it does like 5, puts it at 55, and then I don't know, makes another 4 or 5 million, does 60 domestically, does, I don't know, roughly the same overseas, probably a little lower. Indie Phantom. Obsession hits VOD next week. You'd be a fool not to date your dates to it its last big week. You'd be insane. You'd be a loser. Yeah, if they advertise it. If they spend the money to advertise it, which I totally would if I was the studio. I mean, it's a huge hit. It's a gigantic hit based on its, production expense alone. You should be dumping money into that thing. Supergirl, you should be cutting its screens. Everybody's dumping on Supergirl, by the way. We'll get into that later. Everybody's dumping on Supergirl. The gates have swung wide open. Grace Randolph, Variety, all the mainstream critics are trashing this movie. Absolutely trashing it. The only guy who apparently is defending it is a guy named Angry Joe on the internet. And everybody's laughing at him. I don't know why he's defending it so hard. Did he not see every other James Gunn movie? Because this one, again, like, he didn't direct it, but it's got his fingerprints all over it. I strongly suspect that maybe James Gunn actually did most of the work, or most of the, the vision, and everybody just listened to him as best they could, and this is what you get. Indie Phantom. Supergirl is doing worse than Morbius. It's neck and neck with Joker 2. Yeah, and that movie went down the toilet. Let's see where Joker 2 went. Oh wait, it's Joker. Where is it? There it is. Joker fled. Oh, Joker did 207, which this movie would be lucky to do that, I think. Because you look at the international box office, it was pretty strong. So, yeah, it was only in America we were like, this isn't the Joker. Everybody else was, I don't know, France. Maybe France liked this movie because it was a musical. Let's see, what else did you say? Morbius. Let's see, Morbius. There it is. Jared Leto. Did 162. I think it's going to be real close to 162, I think. What are we at? We're at 62 now. Well, maybe not. No, it's probably going to do lower than that. I don't think it makes another 100 million. No. No. Yeah, this is going to do worse than Morbius. This is going to be bottom tier superhero numbers. And Madam Web. We got to look up Madam Web, which a lot of people defend now as being unintentionally funny. Madam Web only made 100 million. Will it do better than Madam Web? Yes. It would have to, right? Next week it'll do... It's got to do at least almost 30, or if not 30 million. That would put it at 90, and the rest of the week should put it over. So I think it'll do over Madam Web. Indie Phantom. Angry Joe also hated it. His review was a takedown, but he just doesn't want to be lumped in with Critical Drinker and people he hates. I think it's close to Craven. Okay. Craven. It's another abortion of a movie. Ooh, 60 million? No, it's already broken 60 million. Yeah, 60 million, though, would be the bottom. Oof. Oh, I know. Let's spin off one of the villains in his own movies. People love that. How many times you got to let this fail? How many times are you going to keep doing this? I mean, at least Supergirl was a superhero. It could have worked. You could make Supergirl. I got a great pitch for Supergirl. It's easy. You just do a really girly Superman. I think people would be into it. Indie Phantom, this will probably end up being the same box office as Joker 2. Yeah, it's looking like it's right around there. I think it'll be shy of that, though. I don't think it's going to make 207. Mainly because it doesn't appear that anybody overseas is interested. But I would have done a very girly Superman movie. It would have been about Supergirl doing her own thing, not wanting to fight crime, but wanting to do good works. And then she ends up fighting crime. And she also has a boyfriend who is kind of inept, but she uses her superpowers to make him look good, but doesn't tell him, right? And, you know, he doesn't treat her bad, but he thinks she's kind of a dopey girl, but really she's the superpowered one in the relationship, but she's keeping it on the down low, so he doesn't know, because she loves him. I mean, that would be a fun movie. It would be cute. I think women would like that because it would be about a relationship. And, you know, I think the guys would be okay with it if you got a hot enough girl. I would get Sydney Sweeney. I mean, she's already blonde. She looks great as a blonde. You need a blonde Supergirl. Or, I mean, obviously the other, you know, role for her would be Power Girl. But Miley Alcock, I mean, now that we've seen her in interviews, wow, what a disastrous pick. What a dumb pick. But I would say that it's likely Miley is, like a lot of actors do, they're aping the guys around them. That's kind of what they do. They're kind of chameleons in real life personalities, actors, because they're really good at that. They're good at matching people's energy. They're good at acting, and that's what actors do. They really know how to emote, and they're in tune with people's feelings. Oh, is this guy liking me? Or am I saying something to piss him off? Or is he smiling? Is he going to give me a good review or whatever? I think that's why she got caught up in saying, "Oh, I think she might be non-binary, or she might swing both ways." Everybody, because you know, some person from some gay outlet was interviewing her, and she naturally flowed right into that, because that's what you do when you're an actor. You're improvising, you go with the flow. But that was a stupid move. Indie Phantom, I like that Lobo apparently calls her tits in the movie, and you see her take a piss. Now, if she's naked, I might stream it. Really? Why does she look hotter in that Superman cameo? Her hair and makeup is way better. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think she's that good looking. She's okay. I mean, I could see why they cast her. Age-wise, they wanted somebody younger. But they made the character so abrasive and hardened and drunk. She's not a superhero. That's not what superheroes are. Superheroes are self-sacrificing. And as Critical Drinker said in his review, she's only 23. So why is she so world weary and drunk and, you know, her life is over? Like, that's not somebody at 23. Somebody at 23, it just bounces off of them. When I was 23, nothing bothered me. You know? Indie Phantom, is this the gayest Supergirl ever? It might be. I mean, I don't know. Helen Slater, you know, that was back at a time when this wasn't even a concern. Nobody would have thought to go, oh, well, maybe we should make her gay, or at least hint that she might be gay. Like, that's not a calculation prior to, I don't know, the 2000s, I'll say. Now it's a constant calculation in Hollywood. Oh, we gotta worry about the rainbow people. Oh, what will the rainbow people say about this movie? No one cares. Least of all the rainbow people, I think. Imagine being pandered to this hard, right? If they started making movies for me, my God, it would just be like nonstop Italian martial arts. It would be ridiculous. After a while, I would just stop watching. I think, I gotta imagine a lot of gay people are just sick of this. You know, at first they were probably delighted, you know, and when I mean at first, I mean like 30 years ago when they started making an effort to start putting gay characters into things. Now it's just like, oh, guess what? He's gay. And people just go, oh, okay. Indie Phantom. Yeah, she is seen and heard pissing after drunkenness. She's also pukes on camera and technically eats S out of some alien's butt, sort of like the titty milk Luke drank. I think I saw a clip of that. It's like an alien that poops candy, which is gross and not very Supergirl. Again, like Supergirl was just female Superman. Super easy. You just establish Superman, and then you throw in a younger girly version of him and do girly stuff. That's the whole point. If you take out all the girly parts, what the hell do you even have? Indie Phantom. Also, there's a child sex trafficking subplot that's not in the comic. Yeah, and I heard they changed Krem of the Yellow Hills, which is a terrible villain name for Supergirl, by the way. Initially, he was sort of suave and debonair, and now he's like a guy out of Mad Max for some reason. It's dumb move. But I think it was dumb to pick this story anyway. Indie Phantom. Also, why does Supergirl have a spaceship? Well, the idea is she gets on the spaceship and goes to planets with red suns so she'd be weak enough so she could get drunk, which kind of doesn't make any sense, right? Because as we saw in the Superman movie, even by their own logic, Superman got the crap beat out of him, and then Lex Luthor trapped him underground away from the sun, and he was weak. And I don't think there was any kryptonite involved. I think maybe for a second there was some kryptonite during that one scene that weakened him. Indie Phantom, they say it's like Furiosa. Well, I've heard a lot of people say Furiosa is pretty watchable, but again, that's just girl Mad Max. I mean, all these movies are just girl whatever. And they're already starting on, oh, you're a sexist pig if you didn't go see Supergirl. Like, I don't care. Make a good movie. I don't care if you have a... Look, I saw Alien. Alien's a great movie, and Ridley is a great character. Now, after 3 or 4 movies, it was over, but the first 2 movies are on point with Ridley. Everything after that, you could throw in the trash. I don't care. Indie Phantom. I didn't even care for the original Supergirl movie, but Helen Slater was cute. Yeah, and she looks like Supergirl. She's happy. She looks like a cheerleader. I like the Bruce Timm Supergirl from the cartoon. That one was pretty good. But, you know, and the costume for hers was really cool, too, because it was very girly. So, it's Supergirl. She's hot. She's blonde. She's got a belly shirt. And she had gloves. So, she had these, like, white gloves, which were part of her uniform, which she punched bad guys with. So, I guess she wouldn't get her hands dirty, which I thought was an interesting sort of costume design. But, yeah, I mean, who cares? The character, unfortunately, is just a C-tier character anyway. The character couldn't sustain its own comic for decades. For decades, DC tried to push Supergirl. There was the initial push, and then I think a couple of revamps. Eventually, she just became sort of a background character, kind of like She-Hulk was for a long time. Until they finally, with She-Hulk, they finally found a way to make her character viable via her own comic, but they never did that with Supergirl. Then they killed her off in Crisis on Infinite Earths, and then that was a big sort of like, wow, you killed off Supergirl. Wow, Supergirl was great. And then everybody wanted Supergirl. And then after that, she was gone for a long time, but they decided to try to keep her being dead as part of canon, I guess. And they kept bringing back versions of Supergirl. So there was one where she was like some kind of weird alien clone of Supergirl. Another one where she was, I think, an alternate timeline Supergirl. I mean, all these weird things, all these weird comic retro things. Indie Phantom, yeah, the cartoon Supergirl was the most bangable. You know, and not for nothing, they had all these CW actors who played all these characters, and they all looked amazing. I mean, the CW was kind of cringe, but the actors looked amazing. Alan Ritchson was Aquaman. I forget the girl who was Supergirl, but she was pretty cute. They were all good-looking people. Like, Miley Alcock's okay. She's pretty good-looking. But, you know, I don't want to see her drunk. It's not her character at all. I guess that's the revamped character, but revamps are different in the comics because you read these comics for years and years and years, and then you bring them back and you decide to revamp them. The comic book readership a lot of times brings that baggage, and that contrasts to the new version versus the old version is a factor in play. You don't have that with the movies. Indie Phantom, the Supergirl in Flash wasn't even blonde, not great. She was cute though. If you had given her blonde hair, I think she would have been spot on. But yeah, they made her like Bubbles in Powerpuff Girls. So, yeah, this whole thing is just everything's wrong with Supergirl. Okay? So the lead, not good, in my view. Not that she's a bad actress. I think she's probably wrong for the part. She's giving interviews, saying stupid things, like Rachel Zegler. She's challenging the fans, insulting the fans. This is not what you want your lead actress to do. Not Indie Phantom. She was cute, yeah. You don't want your lead actress challenging anybody. You just want your lead actress to go out there and say, I had a great time working on the movie. It was so fun to work with Jason Momoa and everybody. And I love James Gunn. I love the movie. I hope people will give it a chance. That's it. That's all you say about the movie. If you say any, you don't talk about, well, I think the character may be non-binary or she may swing both ways. You absolutely do not say that. Ever. You don't say it ever. It doesn't matter you're talking to a gay magazine or whatever. You just don't even get into that. The moment you crossed into that, you lost. Because no matter what she said, it was going to be a disaster. It was going to get quoted. Sure, maybe the people in that moment, in that room, liked the comment, but the moment it got quoted, everybody would have something to say about it. Indie Phantom, James Gunn is also a loser. The next thing that's wrong with it is James Gunn. James Gunn apparently only has one movie he can write, and that is Guardians of the Galaxy #1. That's it. Apparently that's it. I really like Guardians of the Galaxy #1, so I'm glad I got to see that, but man, I don't want to see it 20 more times. I did like Suicide Squad. That was a bit different, but he has to do, and he touted the script. He touted the script and that it would be different, and that is absolutely not the case. Indie Phantom, Jaden Momoa is apparently played by Lobo. Yeah, it's just like James should have actually followed somebody else's ideas if he wanted these movies to feel different. The director, I don't know what the director was thinking. The only thing I could think of is that James Gunn hired him with the understanding you're going to do the movie exactly the way I would do it, which is a strategy. You could argue it's the same strategy DC and Marvel would use to draw their comics, right? They had a house style. Maybe James Gunn wanted a house style for their movies, so they would all be, you could interlock them together and they'd all be great. The problem is his style is a one-trick pony. It's not expansive. Like when I write the Pineys, I try to write different kinds of stories. Some stories, like for instance, book 20 of the Pineys, book 19 of the Pineys is from the point of view of one of the characters for most of the book, which I hadn't done except for a couple of short stories throughout the series. So that's different. That gives it a different feel because it's more from his perspective than an omnipresent narrator. You know, if you wanted to do something like that in Supergirl, you could have. If you wanted to follow Tom King's, what I assume are terrible comics, you could have followed him. I mean, I would have respected you if you followed Tom King's comic to the letter, but you didn't do that. I mean, I probably wouldn't have liked the movie, but I would have respected you for following it. So, Indie Phantom, I liked Margot Robbie's shorts in Suicide Squad. Only thing I remember is her body. She's actually really good in the follow-up to Suicide Squad. That's the only time she actually acts really crazy, like scary crazy. So I'll just give you a spoiler. There's a scene where she shacks up with a dictator of a small South American country, or one of his minions, I forget. And he's given her everything. He's given her money, like everything she could possibly want. And then he does one thing she doesn't like, and she kills him. And then says something totally insane. I forget exactly the line, but it's kind of a disturbing scene. Indie Phantom, will DC become gun shy? Yeah, it's well, I mean, it's hard to say. I would have thought they would have fired him already, but this stuff is so far into the future. The rumor is now the battles between Gunn, whether or not they're going to keep Gunn on, I think there's going to be a lot of fallout from this. They can't be happy with him. They can't be. But he's got Peter Safran, his rabbi, as they say in the biz, who may be, smoothing over the wrinkles here. No, guys, you don't understand. This is all part of the plan. Yeah, Supergirl didn't do well, but we're going to come back with Superman, and it's all going to work out. Maybe. But I don't think so. I don't think they can ignore these numbers. But, Superman didn't do good. So, and they're still making casting announcements. It could be the kind of strategy that Kathleen Kennedy used, right? Kathleen Kennedy used this strategy where she kept announcing projects, even though she didn't have any in development, even though it looked like she was ready to go, and it kept her in the mix for a few more years, long after people wanted her. That's how she got The Acolyte. And man, they dumped money on that show. Indie Phantom. You mean the Birds of Prey thing? Never saw it because they changed her hot outfit. No, there was a second Suicide Squad, right? So there was the first Suicide Squad. I think it was directed by David Ayers, which is the initial one where she's wearing the shorts. The second one takes place in a South American country, and it has Starro. It's the good one. James Gunn directed that one, and it's got Idris Elba in it. It's pretty good. But it's kind of like Guardians of the Galaxy in terms of, a bunch of wacky characters who are a bunch of misfits and they come together at the end to save the Earth. So it's very similar, but in that particular story, it kind of worked for me. I mean, I liked it. It was also a ridiculous movie. The Birds of Prey thing, no. I hear that's unwatchable. She's hot in that. She does some crazy stuff in it, but and I gotta imagine Margot Robbie's pretty sick of playing Harley Quinn. I mean, she's gotta be at this point. Her box office is really, unfortunately, uneven. She had The Wolf of Wall Street, but that's, it's not really her movie. She's so hot in that one. Holy cow. My glasses kept fogging up in the movie theaters in The Wolf of Wall Street. Jesus. She's actually pretty good in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, but she's barely in it. And then, she's been in a bunch of... She was in Babylon. That movie tanked. So... Indie Phantom. I can't wait for the next Ray movie. This time they'll get it right. Yeah, it's like, why do you keep doubling down? This is the exact opposite strategy used in the past. In the past, if Hollywood had... It wouldn't even be that you had a bad movie. If you just didn't make enough money, that was it. They moved on to the next thing. A sequel? No, we don't make sequels. Because everybody knows sequels make less money than the first movie. Like, that's inevitable. I don't think there's an example of a sequel. Maybe Evil Dead. Evil Dead 2 probably made more money than Evil Dead 1. But there's not a lot of examples, I'll say. Typically, your second movie, if you have it, the only reason to do a second movie is the first one is such a hit, you can make a lot of money. But now they just do sequels because I don't think they know what they're doing anymore. They don't have any good screenwriters. That's for damn sure. I mean, the woman who wrote, and this is another big factor in all this, the woman who wrote Supergirl, I will show you her credits if you haven't seen them already. Indie Phantom, did I mention that James Gunn is a loser? Oh, I believe you. I believe you did. But it's good we went over it again. So yeah, this is the writer for Supergirl. Anna Nogueira, whatever. She is an actress. See, she's got all these actress creds. And then you go down to writer, and this is her writing creds. She wrote a short called We Win about a couple. I think they're breaking up or something. Whatever. It's a short. It kind of barely counts, but you can kind of count it as, okay, you wrote a short screenplay that got produced. It's not nothing, but it's barely anything in terms of studio movies. And then her next credit is Supergirl. It's utterly insane. Why would you give this woman that kind of cred? You just don't... there's got to be other female screenwriters that could have written this thing just as poorly. Indie Phantom. She is a hot-ass writer, probably why Gunn hired her. I mean, it's possible, but where are the adults at the studio to go, you can't hire some girl you're banging to write Supergirl? Or do the studios care so little about the writing, and I believe this may be the case, they care so little about the writing, they don't care who you hire. Give someone the credit, pay them, we don't care, as long as the movie makes money. Indie Phantom, she is also writing Wonder Woman Teen Titans next. Yes, she is. If David Ellison has lost his mind and decides to keep going forward with this, he should fire James Gunn, unless James Gunn changes course, certainly. Like if James Gunn came out and said, okay, we're going to get rid of, we're not going to do any more Supergirl. Maybe Miley Alcock will make an appearance here and there, but she's not going to get a sequel. And we're not going to have anybody, we're not going to have that director anymore, we're not going to have that writer anymore. Like if you got rid of everybody except maybe Miley Alcock because you've already established the character, then I'd be like, okay, sure. But I don't think he's doing that. I don't know what James Gunn's strategy is at this point. Just seems to be able to do stuff and criticism just bounces off of him. Indie Phantom, Ellison not in charge yet. Deal still not done. Well, maybe this is corporate sabotage then. You know? Maybe Gunn knows he's going to be fired and he's just saying, F you guys. F you guys. And he called up Miley and said, oh, say whatever you want in the interviews. Yeah, stick it to the patriarchy, Miley. Yeah, you go, girl. I'll support you 100%. Maybe. But I would fire everybody. I would close down the DCU, put it on the shelf for at least 5 years minimum, maybe more like 10. Indie Phantom, James Gunn is a loser in my opinion. I heard that somewhere. So you have a bad screenwriter, not the greatest lead in the world. You have a third-tier character at best that never had much of a fan base. You have a director. Who was the director? I mean, he seems like... Let's see what his creds are. Craig Gillespie. Oh, he did Dumb Money. Okay. The Better Sister. Oh, that's a producer. Directing credits. Oh, he's got a few. So he's doing Archie in 42.6 years, whatever that is. Let's see. Discover Stranger Things Season 5. I don't know what that is. The Better Sisters, Your Friends and Neighbors, Beyonce, Verizon, Can't Be Broken, Dumb Money, Pam and Tommy miniseries. Dubai Presents a 5-star mission, Physical, Cruella. Come on. That's a dumb movie, in my view. The Greatest Gift. Audi R8 Spider Campaign Driver, I, Tonya. I heard that was pretty watchable. Indie Phantom, James Gunn has a dog that is self-insert for crypto. Yep, I heard that. The Finest Hours, Farmers Insurance, Monsterfoot. Why do you put commercials on their creds? It's so stupid. $1 Million Arm, Trooper, Kid Cudi, No One Believes Me, Fright Night. I guess that was the remake. My Generation, United States of Terror. Okay, that got a lot of critical acclaim, I guess, at the time. Indie Phantom, let's go back to when James Gunn was canceled. Yeah. Lars and the Real Girl. I remember that movie. Mr. Woodcock. And Les Lions de Cannes in 2006. So he doesn't have a real consistent, I would say, track record. He just seems to be a studio-approved director. So, But yeah. So you got I think the wrong director, wrong lead, wrong producer, James Gunn, probably telling Craig what to do. You got the wrong character. You got Lobo outshining the main character. I think the people who did go to see it mainly went to go see it for Lobo, and possibly Superman cameos. You've released it against Toy Story 5 in its second week, which is better than releasing it against it in its first week. But if you had done that and then gotten this result, you could blame it on Toy Story. But really have, I mean, what is it up against? Nothing. Indie Phantom, from Woodcock to Alcock. The next thing is, of course, Obsession. It's a juggernaut. Out for 45 days. $371 million. That's a profit of somewhere north of $350 million. That's how you make a movie. Okay? That's money. This is money. $1 million and it makes this much money. That's how you make money. Did this thing get international distribution? It did. It didn't do as well, but it did okay. And the reason it probably didn't do as well is it probably doesn't really resonate with some groups overseas. But, you know, there's a romantic element to it, which is kind of universal. So, number 4, the new Jackass, Best and Last, 8.4 million. I'm surprised this movie did that well, if you ask me. I mean, a clip show with some new stuff, this should have been on TV. This probably should have just been on MTV. Probably would have been the biggest thing on MTV. I think a theatrical release, man, you're just like, oh, let's see how much money we can make before this thing finally dies. What did this cost? Yeah, it made 1.9 million overseas. It cost 10 million. It made 10 million so far. So it has to make 20, 25 to break even. Probably not going to make it. No. But maybe they don't care at this point. Because who the hell made this? Would be MTV, which would be Viacom. Oh, God. Let me ask the AI. Who owns the Jackass franchise? Indie Phantom. Jackass trailer even says it's from Paramount Plus. Oh, okay. I will watch it streaming. Yeah, I don't blame it. Hey, it's a perfectly valid streaming movie. It's not going to make its money back, but it kind of will because people will watch it on streaming for the most part. I got to get my Paramount hooked up. Right behind it at 8.2 million is Disclosure Day in its third week. I'm surprised they made that much money in its third week. It dropped from 2 to 5. This thing is gone in another 2 weeks. Next week it does, I don't know, maybe 4, and then probably disappears. There's too much coming out, and this is just taking up space. 195 million on 115 million? Yeah, it's not enough. You'd have to make 230 plus whatever they spent on advertising. Probably a lot for Steven Spielberg. Probably at least another 50 million. So, talking like this thing's got to make 280. I don't think it's going to make that. I think it's cooked. It's done. Probably loses like 50 million. But again, you know, with these studios and these major corporations, maybe they don't care. You know, maybe they're making so much money on the platforms they don't care. Indie Phantom, did I mention that Steven Spielberg is a loser? No, you did not. It's a shame. I feel bad for Spielberg in some respects because, some guys get past their prime, but you don't see it. Like, not this public. Like Mel Brooks, who I love, kind of was past his prime after a certain point. But, like, the last few movies he did weren't embarrassing. He did a few movies that, they weren't that funny, but, like, one was kind of serious. And, the old guy was still trying. It didn't feel like they were lame-ass movies. But, they weren't great. They weren't like his classics, but he had such a high bar. Even something that got halfway there was still pretty good, pretty watchable. Indie Phantom, woke alien movie. But Steven Spielberg, his fall from grace is so huge, in my view. I mean, you're talking the guy who made Indiana Jones, Close Encounters, Jaws, E.T. These were major, like, in the 80s, a Spielberg movie, like, the line would be around the block. Indie Phantom, Spielberg career trajectory is exactly what Tarantino fears. Well, I guess, but Tarantino, I feel like, never reached anywhere near his heights. And, he can continue to grind out wacky shoot 'em ups, and they'll be perfectly watchable if he has enough action in them. It's when I think the problem with Tarantino is when he gets too contemplative and tries to do something like above his pay grade. If he's not aping a 70s movie he saw in a video store 20 years ago, he's lost a lot of times. Like Jackie Brown is really good. I like that movie. I like Pulp Fiction. I like a few others, but when he goes off script, he kind of just is lost, or and even when he's lost, he's kind of doing something interesting. I mean, I hate The Hateful Eight. I just hate that effing movie. It's such a waste of celluloid, but at least he tried something. I have to respect that he tried something different. Well, kind of the same, but different. Indie Phantom, I am buying Armand White's book, Make Spielberg Great Again. Is that a real book? So, Disclosure Day is just... It's so dated and stupid, it appears to me. I don't know why he did it. I don't know why he did. I think the worst was West Side Story. I mean, that movie was an embarrassment in my view. I'm going to look up the box office again. Yeah. West Side Story 2021. $76 million on a movie that cost $100 million. That's an embarrassment. For Spielberg, he'd have to do $250 million, and he made $76 million. That's like probably $200 million loss. It's ridiculous. He should have never made it. It's a classic. How much did the original make? The original made $47 million, but I bet it cost, the production budget was $6 million. So this was way in the profit margin. So, what did it make? It probably made, I don't know, $30 million. Indie Phantom, top 3 Tarantino for me: Pulp Fiction, Once Upon a Time in Hollywoke, and Django Unchained. Oh yeah, that's a good one too. That's a great one too, because it's got such good action in it, That's why I hate Inglourious Bastards, because the action just never really happens. It kind of does, but God, I hate that movie. I felt so ripped off by Inglourious Bastards. There was such promise, and then it wasn't there. Disclosure Day didn't even have a promise. Like, the moment I saw it, I was just like, really? Indie Phantom, the Armand White book is real? It is? Weird. Yeah, you can't make Spielberg great again. I think he's too rich. He's been too rich for too long. He's kind of out of touch with the common man. you know, he could do period. Probably The Fablemans was probably okay. My friend watched it. He loved it, but I don't want to see that movie. But at least it's about his family life and how he grew up or whatever. So you could understand that being, you know, genuine. There'd be a lot of truth in that movie because he'd be hearkening back to the time when he was mostly a normal guy. But now he's been, I mean, he's a billionaire. Like, unless you're going to make, and he's not a comedian, so I was going to say a comedy, but, like, he's not a comedian. He's not a funny guy. Like, if he took a book and he took the lead from a book and made it, maybe, you know. But I think he just doesn't have the connection to the common man. So, and I think that's really important. Indie Phantom, Inglourious Bastards is his worst with Hateful Eight, and I have issues now with Kill Bill. Overrated. I like Kill Bill because it's just tons of action. But yeah, I can understand that. It's a little long, Kill Bill. Should have probably been one movie. Next up, Backrooms, dropping from 4 to 6, 4.3 million. Still doing pretty good. This is another guy who's gonna reap the wind in a good way. So I look forward to seeing Backrooms and Obsession when they hit the platforms. Scary Movie drops from 5 to 7. I hear nothing but disappointment from the people who watch this, but the most disappointing thing is they're going to make another sequel. So maybe the next one will be funny. The only thing I could say, again, is comedy is a young man's game. Normally. I mean, I think I'm pretty funny, but these guys, the Wayans brothers need to hire some young comedians to punch this up. Or at least sort of put them in check, I think. But they tried to parody, apparently, a lot of current stuff, but it just didn't work. And that's a shame. I was kind of rooting for Scary Movie. Because we need comedies. We need them. Number 8, dropping from 6, Masters of the Universe, 2.3 million. 109 on 170 million. It's done. It's cooked. It's done. And it's no fault of the people in the movie because they seem to be genuinely trying to engage with the audience in a positive way. But it didn't work because I think, you know, again, He-Man was never good. It was just never good. It's not even a C tier character. Supergirl has way more cred than He-Man. It's a character that has almost no cred. If they had made it a total comedy, maybe you could have made that work. But it didn't also help that they showed that clip. Even though this wasn't the case, it wasn't woke. Apparently, it was a little bit anti-woke, where they show his placard and it's got his pronouns on it, he, him. And apparently, they make fun of that. But it hit the internet and kind of hurt the movie. People talked about it like, oh, no, it's another woke piece of crap. It could have very well be. I would blame Kevin Smith on that because of what he did in the cartoon. I don't know what he was thinking either. But it's kind of just unfortunate. I think if they had released the Masters of the Universe movie 20 years ago, it probably would have been a big hit. Probably would have been a huge hit 20 years ago. 2005, a Masters of the Universe movie with a big budget and a nod and a wink and kind of funny. Yeah, I think it would have been huge, but now it's just more slop. As Asmongold has started calling everything goy slop. I don't know why he calls it goy slop, but it's weird terminology. Number 9 is new Bleached 1,000 Years Blood War, The Calamity. That is an anime thing, so there you go, weebs. Your weeb movie of the day. And this is more evidence that, yeah, I mean, movies are in big trouble. The weebs anime keep creeping into the top 10 movies. Indie Phantom, Kevin Smith is kind of a loser, in my opinion. Only kind of a loser? Number 10, Star Wars, The Mandalorian and Grogu. Is this thing still in theaters after 38 days? 1.7 million. Wow. Kind of surprised. It made $335 million on a $165 million budget. So $165 million, that you need 330 million? Yeah, 330 million to break even. So we're above the production budget, but there's no way that's above the advertising. They spent a ton of money advertising this, but it'll probably break even on like toys and, you know, whatever Disney decides it made on Disney Plus. Number 11, dropping from 9, Leviticus in its second week, dropping 61% to $1 million. This was the possession movie that takes place in a gay conversion camp, which I don't think is necessarily a bad pitch. It sounded kind of original to me, but it doesn't look great. Indie Phantom, Mango and Goo is legging out. Big win for Lucasfilm. Losers. Losers film. Yeah, so Leviticus, not so great. Number 12, dropping from 10, is Michael. So we're finally under $1 million after 66 days, $902,000. Oh, we are very close, but there's no way they make to $1 billion unless they put the movie away for like a month and then bring it back and re-release it somehow. But maybe you could re-release this movie after the sequel comes out and make another 23 million and get it to $1 billion. Maybe. But right now you got to let it cool off. You know, it's like Oppenheimer. It's the Oppenheimer effect. They were so close. Indie Phantom, Leviticus sounds gay. Yes, it is very gay. Number 13 is Lucky Strike. This is a World War II movie. Probably unnecessary, but it's $803K. It didn't look bad, but I don't know why. I mean, you probably should stop making World War II movies. Should probably just stop. There's so many of them. They made Pressure. Is Pressure on this list? I don't say it. Indie Phantom, Michael been on VOD for a couple of weeks. Oh, okay. Yeah, apparently people are still going to theaters, so no one got the memo. Next up, The Death of Robin Hood. It dropped 79%, to which I say, good. Hugh Jackman playing a broken Robin Hood. Who the F wants to see that? 79%. Well, that's the kind of drop we may very well see for Supergirl, but I just think The Death of Robin Hood is one of the dumbest pitches in the history of pitches. I mean, imagine being in that meeting. Hey, I got a Robin Hood pitch for you. Oh, great. Lay it on me. Imagine Robin Hood, a broken man. You mean the happy-go-lucky character that everybody likes, who always wins, and, you know, everybody loves to see him win? Yeah. What if he was an a-hole and he's just a broken man? Indie Phantom, I love boosters, losers. You can't do a character like this. You just can't. You know? You know, pick a happy character and then just pitch a, oh, you want to see the Teletubbies, but they're all addicted to crack? How about that? Yeah, let's see that. You want to see, I don't know, Happy Gilmore, but instead of Adam Sandler running around saying funny stuff, He's a broken man who has to put his life together, and he's dying of cancer. Like, do you people ever stop and think, maybe this isn't a good idea? The death of Robin Hood, terrible, in my view. And it's got Hugh Jackman, Wolverine. Number 13, 14, 15, The Sheep Detectives, also with Hugh Jackman, but look like the kind of movie I would actually watch. 476K. It's a kid's movie about sheep who solve the murder of their shepherd. After that's The Breadwinner at dropping from 14 to like, I don't know, 15 or 16. 379K. That's Nate Bargatze. Indie Phantom, Unhappy Gilmore. Yeah, exactly. Breadwinner should have just been called Mr. Mom Redux. New. Oh, this one's going to make you happy. The Invite, who stars Seth Rogen as 379K. Opens at 379K. Joe and Angela's marriage is on thin ice when they invite their enigmatic upstairs neighbor for a dinner party. The night spirals into unexpected places. Have they reignited the spark or lit the match that burns it all down? So it's basically Seth Rogen and Olivia Wilde are the couple. They're having problems, and they invite a cool couple to their apartment, and it's Ed Norton and Penelope Cruz, who are much better, obviously, acting-wise. Even in the trailer, I could say it. And basically, Norton and Cruz are swingers, and they want to have sex with Seth Rogen and Olivia Wilde, and it's about the fallout when they sort of pitch it to him. Yeah, it's just not going to work. At 379K, oh, it's only in 7 theaters, so maybe they'll drop it in more theaters next week to push it up. Indie Phantom, Seth Rogen has a cameo in Supergirl. Frickin' loser. Yes, he does. He's everywhere. Everywhere movies die. After that is Girls Like Girls in its second week, dropping 79%, 319K. This is a lesbian movie, a lesbian love story. After that is The Devil Wears Prada 2, 313K. It's been out for 2 months. Did pretty well. Unfortunately, we will probably get a third movie. My guess, the third movie will be Anne Hathaway becomes the evil bee that Meryl Streep plays. Something like that. After that, in its third week, is The Furious, which looks amazing, and I definitely want to see it. Indie Phantom, best Seth Rogen, observe and report, in my opinion. Yeah, that is a good movie. He's good in that. That's like the only time I've ever seen him act. This Is the End is probably my favorite movie with him in it. Which really isn't. It's kind of his movie, but there's too many people in it to just call it his movie. But man, that movie's funny. Mainly because all the celebrities die. It's so funny to watch all the celebrities die, especially Michael Cera. Michael Cera's cameo in that is brilliant. He's such an a-hole. But The Furious, I wish it had done better, but I am psyched to see this thing on the platform. Yeah, it did better overseas. 29 million overseas on a $20 million box office. So, not going to make its money, but I will watch the hell out of this thing when it drops. It looks great. Basically, it looks like the guy from The Raid made it. I think he did. Was it the guy from The Raid? Maybe not. Let me look it up. But, man, the action looks bonkers. No, I don't think it's the same guy, but what did he direct? Stunts. Oh, he's a stunt guy. No wonder the action looks badass. Enter the Fat Dragon, Legend of the Seven Monks, Amazon's Dragon Woman versus Kunut, Niochi, Shinobi Runaway, Shinobi A Way Out, Shinobi The Law of Shinobi, Shinobi Hidden Techniques. So no, he's not the same guy. But man, the Furious just looks friggin' awesome. I lost my place. Where is it? Here it is. So yeah, sign me up for this. Oh, here it is. Pressure. 149K. This is another World War II movie. Brendan Fraser as Ike Eisenhower. He tried to lose a bunch of the weight, but I don't think he was thin enough to be... Dwight Eisenhower was kind of thin. And Fraser looks pretty chunky in this. And also, there's the guy from Sherlock is in it. The guy who played Moriarty. $18 million on a movie that probably cost, I'm going to guess, like at least 50. It's going to be on A&E probably in a week. New movie called Culture. I think I saw the trailer for this. It's Angelina Jolie. Holy crap, 777K. Indie Phantom, The Furious, or I might watch The Furious, not in theaters here, but probably streaming soon. Yeah, it looks badass. There's a scene where a guy, he's fighting in like an arena, and he's got a hammer, and he's killing guys with the hammer, and they're just piling up, and he's standing on the bodies as more guys come. It's crazy. So this is some, I don't know, this is some, I guess this is Angelina Jolie's attempt to be arty. Don't think it's going to work. Looks boring. Here's the Drag Queen movie in its third week. Stop That Train, which I guess is supposed to be funny because it has exclamation points in it. Angelina Jolie is cooked. Yeah, probably. Her divorce didn't really do much favors for her rep. Kind of like got really nasty. And people still like Brad Pitt. This movie looks awful. This movie looks like the kind of movie that demons in hell make you watch as punishment. So listen, Indie Phantom Hammer time. Listen, you can eat hot coals for the next 1,000 years, or we could put Stop That Train. Stop That Trans. Nice. We could play Stop That Train on continuous loop for 100 years. Which do you want to do? How hot are the coals, I would ask. Next up is Maddie's Secret. Maddie's Secret is she's a man. And I'm not sure if this is supposed to be a drag queen or a trans woman. I don't really care. It's some comedian. I don't know what bit he's doing, but doesn't look funny. 189K. So how many theaters is that? 9 theaters. And that's up 35%. So I think this movie's probably done. 78K. Tuner. I want to see this movie. This was the guy who has the weird ear condition, and he ends up being a safe cracker, and Dustin Hoffman's in it. It looks cool. 77K going out of theaters. There you go. I Love Boosters. 54K. So apparently nobody loved this movie. $9.5 million on a $20 million budget. So Boots Riley wouldn't give him that much money next time. Indie Phantom. Oh no, these bottom-feeding BO titles woker than woke. Yes. We've got the Super Mario. See, we don't get to see these on Sunday, so that's one advantage of doing this on Monday. The Super Mario Brothers movie, 41K, still in theaters after 90 days. Wow. Indie Phantom, Tuner looks good, but also boring. Yeah, I mean, I think you have to be in the right mood because it's going to be low key. It's going to be a slower paced movie, but I think it'll be good. It feels like sort of like a 70s movie in that respect. Rose of Nevada, that's a weird boat movie where the crew disappears in its second week. They're trying to put it in more theaters. 34K. Peter Asher, Everywhere Man, I don't know what that is, 31K. Greg Allman, The Music of My Soul, biopic, 27K. Mortal Kombat 2, still in 26 theaters, 23K. Ouch. Romaria. What is Romaria? 15K. It just premiered in 2 theaters. Marina, 18, orphaned at a young age, must travel to Spain's Atlantic coast to obtain a signature for a scholarship application from the paternal grandparents she has never met. Ugh, I'm already bored. She navigates the sea of new aunts, uncles, and cousins, uncertain whether she will be embraced or meet resistance. Stirring long-buried emotions, reviving tenderness, and uncovering unspoken wounds tied to the past, Marina pieces together the fragmented and often contradictory memories of the parents she barely remembers. Okay. Indie Phantom, I will probably never be in the mood for Tuner, unfortunately. Let's see. Oh Horizon? What is that? That's not the Horizon movie with Kevin Costner. Oh, that's a different movie. That's a movie about a woman who she buys an AI version of her dead father. It's weird. Indie Phantom, surprised that Mortal Kombat 2 failed so badly. Yeah, it really was. It looked kind of cool. Maybe it'll do well on streaming. I don't know. I kind of was a little bit stoked to see Carl Urban in it because it looked funny. You know, kind of mildly funny, but I don't think it worked. This is the kind of S my art house shows lately. Then there's the Python Hunt, 5K. For the Love of a Woman, $4,294. 1970, Esther, a tormented American in her 40s, receives a letter after the death of her mother. She must find a woman who lived in the 30s in Palestine and keeps a secret about her life. All right, whatever. I'm out. Silent Friend, that's a tree movie. The Devil Queen. What is that? The Devil Queen. The underworld of 1970s Rio de Janeiro and feared devil queens rules a drug cartel from the back of a brothel. Oh, okay. That sounds like it could be kind of cool. Time and Water? Isn't that the Kristen Stewart movie that she directed? No, maybe not. Then Blue Heron, Make Me Famous, Carolina Caroline, The Currents, Natchez, Omaha, Jensei, The Blue Trail, A Great Awakening, $872. The Last One for the Road, $676. Underland, The Stranger, and yes, $81. I think people said no. In the days following October 7th, Y, a jazz musician, and his wife Yasmin, a dancer, resolved to say yes to everything. Y and Yasmin sell their bodies and souls to the highest bidder, surrendering themselves and their art to Israel's social, political, and military elite. Soon Y is entrusted with a mission of utmost importance to compose the music for a rousing, ruthless new national anthem. It's a very strange thing. I don't know. Indie Phantom, Palestine, LOL, no thanks. The box office, Indie Phantom, what the hell are these loser movies? I don't know. These were all like the movies, like 2 or 3 of them would show up at the end on Sunday, but now they're all here. Like they must linger in theaters until like the box office drips in. I mean, look at these. Some are only in 1 or 2 theaters. I don't know why they're still in theaters. Some of these, look at this one. Make Me Famous. It's been in theaters for 1,100 days. It has to be an old movie. I don't know what it is. Natchez has been in theaters for 234 days. It's almost a year. So, I don't know. Maybe the guy who made the movie owns the theater. Think on that. The total box office for the weekend was $154,167,182. Greg Allman, he's still alive. I believe he's dead, which is why they did the thing. Is Greg Allman alive? I think he's dead. No. He died on May 27th, 2017. Complications from liver cancer at his home in Savannah, Georgia. He had undergone a liver transplant in 2010 for hepatitis C and kept his cancer reoccurrence private to continue performing music until he could no longer do so. Yeah, it's really true, though, that people in entertainment keep their medical issues secret until the very end. I, unfortunately, not me, but someone I knew who was a movie director was going to direct a screenplay I wrote. And we didn't know it, but he had cancer. He was keeping it on the down low, and he just died. It was a shame. And the movie never happened, unfortunately. Story of my life. Anyhow, that's the box office. So, Toy Story and Supergirl doing all the heavy lifting here, along with the first 10 or so movies. But let's get to the trades and talk more about Supergirl. First up, Supergirl braces for a $100 million loss. Well, see here it says 68 million globally. It's only 62. See, we know that today. You should adjust that, Variety. So 62 million. This movie probably bottoms out in a month. Probably does, I'm going to say like 140, maybe. Because next week it'll probably hit close to 100 million. Well, it'll probably be at 100 million when you add the week's returns. You might get a little bump on July 4th weekend only because, you know, it's Supergirl. And people who know nothing about movies and don't follow this stuff will blindly go into the theater to watch it. Indie Phantom, Supergirl sucking all the oxygen out of the room. This was a bit of a shocking headline. Davy Chase, voice of Lilo in Lilo and Stitch, died of AIDS, which is awful. So, she also was in The Ring, and I think she had a bunch of, she had a bunch of addictions to drugs as well. So, rough. Indie Phantom, Supergirl made like $500K in China total. That's because I don't think the Chinese want to see this movie. I mean, obviously they don't, but I mean, they're, you know, the Chinese are very old school. How much money did Supergirl make in China? China. I know they don't like black people. It opened at 311K and a 2-day haul of roughly 700K. Total domestic run of under 2 million. That's bad. Indie Phantom, I didn't know it was AIDS. I remember her from Donnie Darko in Big Love. Yeah, it's rough, man. She had oof. They had pictures of her towards the end. That was Not a happy time. Vanilla Ice's Freedom 250 concert in DC canceled due to inclement weather that doesn't materialize. Yeah, well, they were going to like, he was the only one basically who even agreed to perform. All the other guys either bowed out or pretended to have a conflict or something. I don't know who booked the acts for Freedom 250 and the Trump admin, but I hope Trump fired them. Hold on a sec. I gotta turn this off. Get the fan going too high. Yeah, that was kind of an optics disaster, but he kind of came back from it. Comcast splits up NBCU. I don't know if anybody cares. Jesse Eisenberg on turning down Mark Zuckerberg role in The Social Reckoning. I'm moving in different directions in my life. Do you think Eisenberg turned it down, or did they tell him he could say that? I think they told him he could say that, because I think they wanted somebody else. But that's just my guess. Indie Phantom, cheers to Vanilla Ice for at least staying in. Yeah, really. Yeah, the acts were not great. I mean, Milli Vanilli? What are you, insane? Who hires Milli Vanilli and says, oh yeah, let's get them going? Bruce Springsteen, Jennifer Hudson, Alicia Keys, and more paid tribute to Clive Davis at his funeral. Hopefully, Bruce Springsteen didn't break out in a political diatribe. Eisenberg is a loser, says Indie Phantom. Walton Goggins saved Olivia Wilde from being stampeded to death by horses on Cowboys and Aliens set. I owe him my life. He's a real life hero. I guess that's good. I mean, it's nice he did that. I just think Cowboys and Aliens was like terrible, like unwatchable. I couldn't get through it. I started watching it. I just thought it was the dumbest movie ever. Brutally bad movie. The aliens come to Earth to steal our gold. And they have this, like, alien technology to literally extract the gold out of the Earth. So they don't have to interact with humans at all. They literally have the technology to just fly into the mountains and extract all the gold they want, and we would never even know, because it's the Wild West days, and nobody has the technology. But for some reason, the aliens have to get, I don't know, the gold that people have. It's the dumbest plot in the history of plots, and Olivia Wilde's in it, and she's terrible, in my view. Indie Phantom, Milli Vanilli is just one guy now, but I did watch his doc, and he actually became a decent singer. Still, most don't know this. The doc is kind of inspirational, though, because his partner self-deleted. Oh, I didn't know that. Still, though, why wouldn't he change his name? Why wouldn't he, like, I don't know, go by his... Is that his real name? That's not his real name. Bill Maher hailed for courage and being the ultimate contrarian as he received Kennedy Center's Mark Twain Prize. Again, I don't think there should be comedy awards. See that episode of South Park with Funny Bot, but that's my ex-boss, Bill Maher. Let's see. Taylor Sheridan, who's worth $1 billion, rips studio execs for knowing nothing and slams his TV critics. I do rage bait them. F him, honestly. He's on the top of the world. He can say whatever the F he wants. This guy, he can't not make a good show. I mean, at least a show that makes money. I don't watch his shows, but my girlfriend likes Dutton Ranch. She watched all 8 episodes, although she was a little disappointed with the last one. Kind of got overhyped. Here we go. Supergirl stinks. Supergirl stinks. Why does Hollywood keep failing female superheroes? Indie Phantom, he still sings all the Milli Vanilli tracks. They had a few big hits. I guess. So imagine you're doing a story about Supergirl, but instead of blaming, it's not the movie that stinks. It's not the concept that stinks. But see, Hollywood is failing female superheroes. As if this could be a big hit, but you just keep getting it wrong, Hollywood. Indie Phantom, I need to finally watch Landman because my dad said it was the best one. Supergirl sucks. Yeah, I mean, like, I guess this could have been good, but I think if it had been good and it was actually a real female character, I think Variety would have hated it. Everybody would have started talking on, all the usual suspects would have came out and said, oh, no, she has a boyfriend and she's a victim of the patriarchy. She doesn't have her own agency. Superman's in the film too much. Lobo's in it. Please. Indie Phantom, here's an idea. No more female superheroes. I just saved you $1 trillion. If you're going to do the DCU, I mean, the problem is you don't have a deep bench. You just don't. Not like Marvel. Like Marvel bench is deeper and has more characters that people know. If you're going to you do Superman, you do Batman, and then everything else is the next tier. And you could do Wonder Woman, Aquaman, anyone who was in the Super Friends, right? You could do any of those guys. But Wonder Woman and Aquaman are kind of second tier because people know them. After that, it gets really dicey. The characters just aren't there. People don't know them. That's why they're doing these. See, part of the reason they're doing the villains from Batman is because everybody knows them more than the other heroes in the DC universe. More people know who the Joker is than Martian Manhunter. And Martian Manhunter's a stupid character anyway, but whatever. Green Lantern, they kind of S the bed now, in my opinion, twice. So that character's done. Who do you have left? I mean, you could try to do Zatanna. Good luck. There's just not that many characters. Cyborg, Teen Titans was kind of big back in the 80s. It was DC's answer to X-Men. And now they're going to try it again, but The Flash could have been good if, you got rid of Ezra Miller. Indie Phantom, here's an idea. Oh, I read that one. Female superhero track record: Captain Marvel, Black Widow, Madam Web, Wonder Woman, 1984, Elektra, Supergirl, Catwoman. Nothing to see here. Yeah, I would say, though, had they made a Black Widow movie when they should have, it would have been right after Thor Ragnarok. Because in Thor Ragnarok, they imply that Bruce Banner is going to escape to go back to Earth, and then he ends up, going away, and they were implying a romance between him and Black Widow. So they could have done a Black Widow Hulk movie, would have been pretty good, right? It would have been, Beauty and the Beast. The Hulk goes on a rampage, and Black Widow has to get to him to calm him down and stop him. But then there's, some other villain that's trying to control the Hulk, and, I think that could have been a good movie. Now, it wouldn't have been a Black Widow movie, but you also could have done just a straight-up Black Widow movie back when Scarlett Johansson was a smoke show in a red wig, and she was being very sexual. But then, we hit the dark times, when we couldn't see boobies. Indie Phantom, oh, and the Marvels and Birds of Prey. Black Widow is a loser, in my opinion. There's also Silver Sable. I mean, there's other female characters. But the problem is these superheroes are aimed at men. So if you're going to do a female-led superhero, you better make sure she's hot. You better make sure the storyline men will like. So they're just not going to do that. They're going to make all the men look like idiots and tell you're sexist when you don't like. I mean, they're already starting it with Supergirl. This is part of the push. It starts with, why does Hollywood keep failing female superheroes? Again, it's like, oh, it's not the fault of the movie. It's the fault of something else. And then they'll eventually get to, well, it was the fans. It was a few incels online who did this. Indie Phantom, female Silver Surfer, no thanks. Yeah, that was just a spit in the face to everybody who loved the Silver Surfer. All right. Ooh, what's coming to Tubi, July 2026? I like Tubi. I think they've got some good stuff. Let's see. Chappelle Show, good, solid. Married with Children, seasons 8 and 9, also solid. Sliders, I love the concept, but it's very uneven show. Very uneven. The Girlfriend Experience, What I Like About You, Clear and Present Danger, Daylight, Free Fire, Furious 7, The Great Wall, Hellboy. I guess they just buying up the movies they can or renting them. Indie Phantom, nobody talking much about Fantastic Four First Steps much lately, thank God. Lucky number 11, The Marine, Run All Night, Torque, Transformers, Revenge of the Fallen, Transporter 3, 999, Unstoppable, 20th Century Woman, American Honey, Everything Everywhere All at Once. I still haven't seen that stupid movie. I get people who tell me it's the worst movie they ever saw, and people who said, no, it was pretty good. The Eternal Daughter, First Cow, Moonlight, Only Lovers Left Alive. I like that movie. The Last Black Man in San Francisco, The Souvenir, Zola, ATL, Barbershop 2002, Barbershop 2, Back in Business, Barbershop The Next Cut, Beauty Shop, How High 2, I Got the Hookup, A Low Down Dirty Shame, Medea Goes to Jail, Norbit, The Nutty Professor 2, The Clumps, Paper Soldiers, Roll Bounce, The Wash, 30 Minutes or Less, Bad Teachers, Central Intelligence, Easy A, Guess Who, Idiocracy, classic. The Machine, 2023. Indie Phantom, I Heart Tubi, Lucky number 11 is not a bad little film. Moonlight, LOL, no thanks. Guess Who, Idiocracy, The Machine, 2023. Miss Congeniality 2, Armed and Fabulous. Mississippi Grind, Never Going Back, Shotgun Wedding, Stripes, classic. Walk Hard, The Dewey Cox Story, it's got some funny bits. What Men Want, The Wood, The Bling Ring, The Boys in the Boat, Burlesque, Civil War, Deep Horizon, The Doors, Easy Rider, classic. The End of the Tour, A Ghost Story, The Imitation Game, The Iron Lady, Lean on Me, Lords of Dogtown, Sea of Trees, Soul Surfer, American Psycho, classic. I'm going to stop at the end of this day. The Black Coat's Daughter, Deep Blue Sea, Don't Be Afraid of the Dark, Exorcist 2, The Heretic. Why would you even bother? Hostel Part 3, Insidious Chapter 2 and 3, Lamb, The Shallows, Vacancy, The Witch. I love that movie. The Addams Family, 2019, Addams Family 2, Are We Done Yet? Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. The Lego Batman Movie, Crypto to Superdog, Radio, Shark Tale, Valiant, Meet Cute, Hot Summer Nights, Titanic, Demolition Man, love it. Asylum, Ex Machina, The Fifth Element. Indie Phantom, there's only one black man in San Francisco. Bad Teacher has a hot car wash scene. Civil War is woke nonsense. I love The Doors. American Psycho is awesome. The Fifth Element, The Green Knight, Hercules, High Life, The Imaginarium of Dr. Parnassus, The Mortal Instruments, No One Will Save You, Paprika, Star Trek The Motion Picture, Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan, classic. Star Trek III, The Search for Spock, classic. Terminator 3, The Rise of the Machines. The Time Machine, Timeline, Under the Sun, Cut Bank, Dark Places Enemy, Fresh, The Ghost in the Darkness, I Am Legend. Jesus, this is long. The Impossible, Love Lies Bleeding, Mojave, Remember, Silver Star, Street Kings, Thelma and Louise, A Time to Kill, Woodstock, Ballad of Lefty Brown, Gunfight at the OK Corral, Last Train from Gun Hill, The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance, classic, McCabe and Mrs. Miller, Seraphim Falls, Wild Wild West, and Woman Walks Ahead. I'm not going to read the rest. There's too many. American Psycho is awesome, says Indie Phantom. Everyone has to see Exorcist 2 just once. It's unbelievable. Not in a good way. I love The Exorcist 3, though. I love those early Star Treks, even the first one. Yeah, the first one is just boring for a lot of scenes. Like, if you cut it down to a half hour, it might be pretty good. But, yeah. It's so... I mean, there's so many scenes of just people standing around and the music swelling and the ship moving very slowly through V'ger. But, man, Wrath of Khan rocks. Wrath of Khan's, like, badass. Oh, I love Wrath of Khan. All right, going to the Fandom Pulse. A lot of stuff on books, movie reviews. Citizen Vigilante. See my review. It's pretty great. It's not a... Well, I shouldn't say it's great. It's not a well-made movie. It's from a filmmaking perspective, it's not good. Strictly that. It's good because it's a release valve for a message that's long overdue. And it touches a third rail that nobody else is touching. Indie Phantom. Exorcist 3 with George C. Scott. Must see, Tony. Probably the best jump scare outside Carrie and Dress to Kill. Really? I thought the best George C. Scott movie is... oh, God. What the hell's the name of that movie? The one where his daughter ends up in a porn movie. And he goes into the theater and he sees it. Turn it off, turn it off, turn it off. This is some good news. Genndy Tartakovsky has wanted to make a Conan series since 2007, and it's finally happening. This could be really, really good. He's a really, really good cartoon maker. And if you've ever seen Primal, and I saw at least the first 2 episodes, it's a great show. So Conan could be badass. Indie Phantom. It's directed by William Peter Blatty. Will Wheaton? Will Wheaton poses outside Trump Tower and seemingly wishes the president dead. No surprise there. Because he was a Star Trek cast member on Next Generation. Therefore, he, I don't know, is slowly becoming a communist, I guess. Or he just has TDS so bad, I guess he can't help himself. Here's another guy, Star Trek actor Wilson Cruz. I don't even know who he is. I guess he's from Starfleet Academy. Goes on insane Facebook tirade. Racist and homophobic. Calling other people that, I think. Indie Phantom. Hardcore is awesome. You can hear... oh, that's what it's called, right. You can hear me discuss hardcore on the Uncut Gems podcast from a few years ago. Oh, interesting. The comics industry still hasn't learned Eric Larson wants to turn classic characters gay. Yeah, but who cares about Eric Larson? I mean, he's kind of done. And he's not even the problem. It's not like he has control of a lot of these classic characters. It's people like who run DC Comics or run Marvel or, you know, until the Marvel, well, I should say the Disney people and the Warner Brothers people say, okay, that's it. We're not doing this anymore. And then somebody steps up and says, listen, I need you to run the comic division, but I need you to run it right so we can make some money with it. And then somebody comes in who kind of knows comics at least a little bit and just fires everybody. You're just going to have to fire everybody and start over. It's the only way now. These people are so caught up in their politics. And guys like Eric Larson, they're not even a factor. You don't need to hire them. The characters are what people follow. They don't follow these creators on Batman, Superman, Spider-Man, Fantastic Four. They don't really follow them. If you put out a decent Spider-Man or Batman comic, people read it. And then you can make your own star, right? You just start off with new guys who don't hate America, who aren't communist, who won't put their politics in everything. Boom. It's simple to do. Spider-Man Brand New Day. On tracks 250 million opening, while Supergirl made 37 million. Indie Phantom, I would like to fire these guys personally, even though I'm not their boss. Yeah, me too. I would absolutely love to be the guy that fires everybody at Marvel and or DC. But unfortunately, we're not there yet. It requires a guy who's very Trump-like, right? It would require a Trump version of Stan Lee. Somebody who would be ruthless enough to fire everybody, but enough in the comic business that he could hire new people, that he understands how it works and has a vision for the business model. The problem partly is the business model, which has been out of whack for 50, 60 years. You need to create cheap comics at a price point that people can afford and that they want to buy and follow the stories. The collectible end of it is a dead end. So I would fire all these guys and I would start a new model. It would be 100 pages for $10 or $9.99, and basically jam the thing up with at least 5 comics, and make it really worth the fans' money. So you can come into a comic book store, buy a thick comic, a reasonably thick comic, for $10, and then you could actually sit and read it for a couple of hours, maybe, or at least an hour. Comics read pretty fast, so maybe an hour. That's an okay price point. I mean, I would like to make it higher. Maybe you make it 150 pages and you include 5 comics that are new and 2 comics that are classic that tie into the current ones in some way. So maybe put 7 or even 10. You just keep reprinting stuff, so it's like half new stuff and half reprints. Indie Phantom, slightly off topic, but the landlord installed a new air conditioner in my apartment this weekend, and it is awesome. I now have one in the living room and bedroom. Congratulations. See, this is why we're all better than Europe. Because we have air. Meanwhile, 1,000 people have died in France because they don't have air conditioning. Because they're pursuing a wacky green agenda that includes net zero, and they don't want to have any air conditioning in their countries. I hope the UK can overthrow their government so they can get their air conditioning back and, their freedoms. But we'll see. I don't think France it's happening there anytime soon. Rockstar fired 34 union organizers before GTA 6, and the lawsuit is still running. I can't say I blame them, because the last thing you need in video games, comic books, and games and trading cards is a union. They unionized at Wizards of the Coast. And don't get me wrong, the guy, I knew some of the guys who worked at Wizards of the Coast way back in the day when the cards first came out. And I heard, and I don't know how true this is. I don't know how true it is, but I'll tell you what I heard. What I heard was the original artist got royalties, and they were making such bank that they didn't want to let it go. So they created a sort of cadre of artists who controlled who would do the art. And that way, nobody else could get in without the approval of the other artist. Now, that's one way to run things. And hey, the artists were running things, but in the end, I think it was their greed that outdid them, because eventually Wizards of the Coast was making so much money, they realized they could hire professional book cover artists who do things for a flat rate. At the time, it was like $1,000. So they could pay a flat rate of $1,000 a card, get super high quality art, and cut out all the old guys, which is what they eventually did. And then they cut out all the royalties, and now they're pushing back with a union. I don't think that helps Wizards of the Coast, and I don't think that's going to help the people in the union. I think they'll go out of business. I think once somebody pushes a union, they don't push unions on successful companies, because I think successful companies are going to pay people pretty good, unless they're, super greedy and abusive, which sometimes they are. And I mean the companies. I'm not talking about what happened allegedly at Wizards of the Coast with the artists. So if you're making big bank, you can afford, if, one of the artists is mad, we didn't pay him enough. Go send him $1,000. Who cares? I think they should do that. And a lot of times, I think companies do, in times of plenty. But then there's times of lean. And that's when things start to fall apart. And everybody's like, why aren't I getting paid? And I don't blame you. I've been there. But you got to know that the writing's on the wall, and you got to get out and go work somewhere else. Because at some point, the whole trading card game thing is just going to fall apart. And WotC, it's cyclical. It doesn't completely fall apart. They don't fire everybody. They don't stop making cards completely, but they slow down a lot until something happens that the cards come back, or the comics come back, or Dungeons and Dragons come back. Dungeons and Dragons had an amazing run in the 70s, but by the 90s, after second edition, it had slowed to a trickle. But then third edition came out, and it exploded again. So it goes through cycles of up and down. And when you're on the way up, yeah, you can make all kinds of crazy bank, and nobody cares. But when you're on the way down, that's when I think people start going, whoa, we got to unionize. These guys have all the money. But the union then just makes things worse, because it puts a stranglehold on the cost. And now you might be in a situation in which you'd like to do more, creatively risky things, but now you feel you can't, because now the costs have gone up. So, and it's a self-perpetuating thing. Well, now we're not going to take risk. Well, now people don't like us as much. So now the sales go down. So now we take less risk. And now we hire less people, and we try to find other ways to cut back. So I don't think unions in the world of cards and video games and all these places are necessarily a good thing. Same thing in movies now. I think it's the same thing happening. Indie Phantom. Dungeons and Dragons, I played from probably 82 through 85. Great stuff. I think that would have been... Yeah, that would have been first edition, maybe partly second edition. I think second edition came out by then. Yeah. Yeah, by 85, second edition had to be out. All right. Let's see, we got any more Supergirl stories here? Oh, this was big this week. Comics writer Grant Morrison wants to run Doctor Who and gives his pitch to save the show. He doesn't actually give his pitch, but this would be kind of cool. And hold on one sec, I gotta pee. Come here, Joan. I'm going to come back to the seat and entertain Indie Phantom and the crew. There you go. Joan's new seat, everybody. I'll be right back. Come in here. All right. Doggy number 2's in here. Sorry. Oh, man. I had to get another drink as well. Indie Phantom, there's a collector shop near me, and the owner told me he has rooms full of old unsold cards. No profit now. I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised. I used to collect some of the movie trading cards. I have a full box of unopened Jaws 3D cards, LOL. Bought them at a show in 1990. I also have a bunch of Twin Peaks, Star Wars, and Empire cards. Crazy. Yeah, I remember all those old cards. They were pretty big. They used to do trading cards for everything. Absolutely every movie that came down the pike, they do trading cards for. Not anymore. Not anymore. Where am I going to set this? Set it over here. But yeah, Grant Morrison trying to pitch Doctor Who to save the show. They're never going to do it. The problem is the BBC is run by the UK government, and it's not going to change until the government changes. So I wouldn't even bother. Wouldn't even bother. Marvel let TikTok bully a legend off the cover of Amazing Spider-Man 1000, but it's back. I don't know why they would let them do that. The oldest regional science fiction convention in the world is quietly voting itself out of existence. So it's just crazy. Some of the wokeness that has infiltrated fandom to the point at which the conventions are now no longer functional. Nobody wants to go to a convention with a bunch of woke idiots pushing their communist agenda. No one wants that. So I don't know why, anybody would do this, but this is where it's spiraling into. I say make a new convention. But moving on to the Hollywoke reporter, Supreme Court Justice Neil Gorsuch cites FCC Chairman Jimmy Kimmel criticism as evidence of agency overreach. The Jimmy Kimmel thing is over. Get over it. Indie Phantom, speaking of Jaws, Tony, if you want an awesome laugh, check out Cruel Jaws. It might be on Tubi, as it shows up there on HD sometime. It was released in Italy and Jaws 5 and rips off many scenes from the first movie with crazier shark kills, and it steals movie from Miami Vice. That sounds funny. Highly recommended fun. That sounds crazy. That's like Indian Spider-Man, if you've ever seen the clips of that. where they made a Spider-Man movie in India, and they just did it. And the effects are, this is like before the Indians really kicked up their game in movies, so the effects are just brutally bad. Betty Kovacs, Ernie Kovacs' daughter, at the center of high-profile custody battle, dies at 79. Ernie Kovacs was a big time comedian back in the day who passed away kind of at the height of his career. He was very funny, though, ahead of his time. All right, nothing really going on at the Hollywoke Reporter. Again, more Supergirl. Five Nights at Freddy's 3 taps Gary Dauberman to pen script. I mean, I could see a third one, but how many animatronic robots were there in that restaurant? And why doesn't somebody just burn it to the ground at this point? I mean, you know, in the movie. I'm not saying in real life. See, look at this. Here's the Hollywood Reporter on Supergirl. Supergirl lifts off with 7.8 million box office in previews. It's just unbelievable how they push certain things. And you can understand it. Like, they're not going to say it sucks, even if it does, I would say. I mean, they're kind of saying it sucks now, but yeah, they're going to try to make it work. I don't see anything here. Mark is here. Hey, Mark. Kovacs was a massive cigar smoker, and it killed him. Ooh. Indie Phantom. There's a scene where they just go full lazy, and the characters are just doing dialogue from Jaws. I'm not saying this isn't the shark. It could be, but you want to be sure. We all want to be sure. Man, that sounds brutal. Colleen Hoover producing Ali Hazelwood's bestseller Love Theoretically at Amazon MGA Studios. Sophia Alvarez directing. Is Amazon just going to become the place where ladies make movies, I guess? I mean, Colleen Hoover, she made some books that the ladies love. But I guess she got into producing. Scamming Netflix out of $11 million gets director some serious prison time. Judge condemns Carl Rintz, money laundering and lies. Whoopsie. You know, if you had given me $11 million, I would have made the Pineys. And you would have made $1 billion. More in the World Cup. I kind of like all the videos of the Europeans coming here, eating our food and saying nice stuff about the country. It's really nice. There was a couple of videos today of some of those Europeans and Canadians going back home and then complaining about the food now that they're back home. So like one guy who had gone to breakfast and gotten all this bacon at Waffle House, and then he went back home and he got breakfast there, and he held up a tiny slice of bacon he got with his breakfast. And then another guy who went to McDonald's or Burger King back in Europe somewhere, and like all the portions were really tiny, but in America they were really big. It was kind of funny. Let's see what's going on in Hollywood in toto. Legacy Media mourns Supergirl box office collapse. Why? Who cares? It's just a movie. Citizen Vigilante shoots to #1 on Prime Video chart. Oh, here it is. The furious child trafficking thriller packs savage punch. So this is a pretty good site, Hollywood in toto. But yeah, this is Death Wish, European style. So, pretty interesting movie. I said in my review, it's kind of a moment in movies where there's a pivot. And it's interesting that it came out the same time Supergirl did. It came out a little before, but You know, people are pivoting away from woke trash, I think, and they're pivoting into this movie, not because the movie itself is particularly crafted well, but because it's an unflinching look at a real problem, and it's got a little too much reality in it. So there's a couple of gruesome scenes in this movie that are based on real things that happened in the UK with the migrants, and it's pretty bad. I mean, pretty graphic, I'll say. And then Armie Hammer plays a vigilante, and he's like a more cold version of the Punisher. I mean, he's brutal in a couple. I mean, I'm sure you've seen the scene. If you haven't seen the scenes on X, look them up. Two of the best scenes are on X. So, I think it's a real turning point because they're going to do more of these films. They're definitely going to do a sequel to this. And I think they may end up doing 3 or 4 of them. I think they're definitely do one of these in America. So, Indie Phantom, I sent my review to Yui Bowl directly, and he did make a video where he teased a sequel in the US, which I said he should do in my review. He probably had that planned, but I thought it was cool. Yeah, I think I saw that TikTok. Yeah, I mean, why wouldn't he? It's gotten so much attention. I mean, the German government essentially did him a favor by banning the movie. A huge boost. Chat disconnected. Please wait. Oh, it came back. Indie Phantom. Yui's previous film is called Run, which is more of a leftist about immigrants running from the Border Patrol. Oh, I vaguely remember that one. Mark, low-budget, non-woke action films are the next wave. Let's hope so. I'll be going back to the movies. New Quentin Tarantino movie announced, but with surprising twist. Guess the twist? I'll say it's not based on something he saw in a movie rental place that was made in the 70s and wasn't that good, but he thinks is amazing. In 2024, Tarantino scrapped The Movie Critic, deciding it felt too close to Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. The move shut down months of speculation, blah, 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 blah. Variety confirms Tarantino has joined the cast of Tangled Up in Blue, a new film from director Jamie Adams. Okay. The cast includes Kylie Minogue, Allison Williams, RZA, Sophia Boutella, Craig Roberts, and Hugh Skinner. Filming is already underway in Wales, where Tarantino and Minogue were seen shooting scenes over the weekend. All right. Details about the story remain limited. The title points to Bob Dylan's 1975 song, which Tarantino has called his favorite. The track explores complicated relationships from shifting viewpoints. The structure lines up with Tarantino's style in films like Kill Bill and Inglourious Basterds, Hateful Eight, I guess. But he's not directing it, so I don't know why you're calling it his film. He's not exactly great as an actor. He's okay, I guess. He's great in Pulp Fiction. I like him in that. What's wrong, Joan? Oh, Joan. Come here. Sit here. I'll pet you. New Spider-Man Brand New Day footage reveals deep cut villain. Ooh, place your bets. Deep cut villain. The tarantula, I'll say. Do. It appears to be Ramrod, a minor but notable villain from Spider-Man comics. Ramrod. I don't know if I remember him. No, I don't think I do. There it is there. Ramrod is far from a household name. He started out as a construction foreman who suffered a serious injury on the job. He was later turned into a cyborg as part of a larger criminal scheme that tied to control efforts in San Francisco. Oh, okay. Mark. Kylie Minogue was in the original Street Fighter movie. QT was good in that vampire movie with George Clooney. Vampire movie? Oh, From Dusk Till Dawn. I like that movie. Indie Phantom. He is okay in From Dusk Till Dawn. The story is a total clickbait because it's not a Quentin Tarantino script or movie. Ramrod is the villain in Vice Squad, played by Wings Hauser. Awesome. Yeah, no, I don't think that's it. Right. Yeah, he's not. I don't think his acting was all that great in From Dusk Till Dawn. But he's not in it all that much. So, oh, here it is. Ramrod, The Rage of Ramrod. Okay, Supergirl failed the original comic as well as the audience. Yep. Why DC's Supergirl is unmitigated disaster. Because it didn't make any money. Supergirl is depicted as a drunkard. Spends most of her screen time in the movie being drunk, nearly drunk, or hungover. Yeah, that's not a good thing for little girls to see. Assuming you would ever take a little girl. That's one reason I think a lot of parents wouldn't take their girls to see this movie. He's on a planet where kidnapped girls are being held captive to be forced into marriage to men. For a superhero movie aimed at families, this is pedophilia, child trafficking storyline is quite disturbing. Well, I mean, I don't know what real life thing he's mimicking. It's a mystery, but yeah, I mean, it doesn't sound like something that you'd take a kid to. Unless you, I don't know, sort of watered it down. Over at The Wrap, where does DC go after Supergirl box office crash? Hopefully to fire James Gunn. Indie Phantom. Ramrod is a killer pimp. Wings was heavily on cocaine in an unhinged performance. The cinematography in LA is great for a B movie because it's by Kubrick's regular DP. Wow. That's cool. And, his son, Paul Walter Hauser, is pretty big now in the movies, too. Let's see. The Wrap apparently made an off-campus microdrama for $150 using AI. Okay. Mark, the Supergirl demographic that went was 60% men. Yeah, I forgot that. Yeah, that was on a Yellow Flash talked about that. Why not double down on that and make a Supergirl movie aimed at men? Because they are trapped in their leftist politics of Southern California. Nobody... See, here's the thing. A big difference between people who are leftist and collectivist and other people. Not just people on the right, but people in the middle. Indie Phantom. Check out Vice Squad. Son is Cole Hauser. Good actor. Oh, isn't Paul Walter Hauser his son too? Or is that his grandson? Isn't he related to Wings? Mark, I'd love to see a Power Girl movie aimed at a male audience. Yeah, you could put Sydney Sweeney in that costume any day of the week. But because they're collectivist, they live their lives in a way where they're constantly gauging what people around them think about them. And that's how they make decisions on things. Is this a good idea? And they're going to put that out whether they're going to have a meeting or ask someone directly or just say it out loud to see people's reaction, they're going to do that. And when you're doing that in this era, that woke nonsense, you know, for somebody to say, oh, that's stupid, like, let's not do that, it's kind of a negative. And people in Southern California, and this goes back even before woke, they don't like to do that. They really don't. These people, I went to LA, and one of the things in LA they always did was they were constantly offering me a beverage. Constantly. No matter where I went, they're like, oh, you want a soda? You want a soda? You want a drink? And sometimes I would say, you know, me being me, constantly drinking and eating, I would go, yeah, I'd love a soda or whatever. What do you have? And I swear to you, 9 times out of 10 in LA, the response would be, oh, I don't know. Let me go look. Because they didn't want me to say yes. They just wanted the credit for offering me a beverage. They didn't want to get me a beverage, but they wanted to offer me one. And it happened again and again and again. And eventually I just said yes every single time, just to watch them squirm. Indie Phantom, DC means dumb C word. Yeah, so if you're in that collectivist mindset, it's like you're in a room with a group of people and they've all agreed, you know, trans people are amazing and should be in every movie. You can't be the guy in that room to say, well, maybe we shouldn't put trans people in the movie. Or in this movie, or in a superhero movie, or whatever. Like, the moment you say no, the rest of the room gangs up on you. And that kind of drives all their decisions and all their politics, which is why they're all like this. This is why Miley Alcock thinks it's perfectly fine to do an interview and talk about how Supergirl might be non-binary, she might be gay, we don't know. She doesn't understand that there are people who don't want that. And it's not even true to the character on top of that, but mostly it's an issue that no one wants to hear that about Supergirl. Like, that's not central to the Supergirl character. Her sexuality is meaningless. Absolutely meaningless. So to even go there drags in all these weird Southern California politics that nobody wants to be involved with except the people desperately seeking approval in Southern California constantly. In the room or in, you know, on the online areas that they go to in general. So this is why they're constantly virtue signaling. Am I doing this right? Am I okay? Is everybody okay with what I'm doing and what I'm saying? Is what the language I'm using okay? Can I call you this? Can I call you that? And no one says no. No one says no. Don't do that. Because no one wants to have the discussion with a room full of people going, oh, well, why can't we do that? Why can't Miley say that maybe Supergirl is gay? Maybe she is gay. How do you know? They don't want to have that argument with some activist in the office. And they're chock full of these activists. So they're going to let it go, hoping it just sort of passes by and nobody really makes a big deal. But eventually somebody does. And this is how they paint themselves into a corner. And now they've made a movie with a female-led character who doesn't act like a female at all in order to avoid every female trope that there is. So they can pass the imaginary Bechdel test. Yeah, that movie probably passes the Bechdel test, right? Supergirl's not in a relationship. No relationship is mentioned, and she's completely apart from, you know, the other male characters. She has her own agency, and there's no relationship. Except that's not the way women are. Women are absolutely obsessed with relationships. They love them. They love talking about them. They love knowing who's dating who and why they're dating who and who said what. They love all that stuff. Now, that doesn't mean every single movie has to be chock full of gossip and romance, but they like it. If you want to attract women to a movie, you have to put some of it in. Indie Phantom, I agree that they are all gay. And that guy pointing at Supergirl is a total loser. That's right. It's James Gunn. Apparently he's a total loser. I heard that somewhere. Speaking of, James Gunn might not survive DC regime change after Supergirl bombs. One can only hope. But meanwhile, see, they're moving forward. Adriana Arjona is Wonder Woman and Gunn's Man of Tomorrow. So they're going forward with that. I'm sure she's super happy to be in it too, with James Gunn on the verge of being fired. Nothing's worse for an actor to be championed by a guy who's on his way out. It's totally effed. Because if Gunn gets fired, she's done. The new guy will absolutely never use her. Unfortunately. Unless they fire him in such a way like, well, we fired Gunn, but we have to keep the Wonder Woman thing moving forward, so just keep her. Like, maybe they'd save her, but more than likely, the new guy will come in and go, no, I'll do my own thing. Because that's Hollywood, baby. Everybody making their own mark. Indie Phantom, makes sense then why women used to love soaps. Oh, they still love soaps. I mean, the audience for soap operas is 90% women. The audience for soap operas is 90% women, just like the audience for comics is 90% men. So, you want to ruin soap operas? Listen up, commies. Let me tell you how to ruin soap operas. Start making them for men. And all the women will stop watching them. And you'll cannibalize your own audience to get a handful of men to watch. And then it'll collapse. The entire soap opera industry will collapse. There's millions of dollars in soap operas. They crank them out on a daily basis. If you want to make it collapse, just say, oh, it's going to be a men brand now. We're going to have beers and sports and topless girls in it. Yeah, let's turn soap operas for men. Mark, Gunn was smart to fast track the next movie. Get in deep so they can't fire you. Yep, that's a Kathleen Kennedy strategy, I think. He's going to keep pushing. He's going to keep announcing stuff. He's going to keep talking about it like it's already happened. And then hopefully the studio's too weak-willed. Well, everybody's talking about it. We might as well let him do one more movie. I don't know. I don't know if Ellison works that way. He may just let it go, but it takes too long to do everything. We're talking millions and billions of dollars, so the ships move very slow. They turn very slowly. So we may be stuck with Gunn for another 2 years before the dust finally settles and all the movies he's put in the pipeline go through, and then finally, yeah, okay. Yeah, Gunn's going to leave next year. Gunn's going to leave in 2028. And then it'll finally go, and then by that time, will there be anything left of the DCU? Probably not. Indie Phantom just checked local theater, and they only have 3 Supergirl seats sold. Altogether, same row for $9.55 screening. Sounds about right. A lot of people were posting on X. Empty theaters during the weekend. Indie Phantom, isn't there only one daytime soap that's still running? Maybe Days of Our Lives? I can't remember which one, but it's all talk shows, cooking, and reality now. Or The View, I guess. I don't know. I haven't watched daytime TV since I was like in school and got sick and had to be stuck home watching daytime TV. I remember there used to be one on every channel, but let's ask the internet. How many soap operas are still running on on American TV currently. I'm gonna guess there's still 3, like the 3 major network, 3 or 4. As of 2026, 4 soap operas. There you go. General Hospital, Young and the Restless, Bold and the Beautiful, and The Days of Our Lives. Yeah, these have been running forever. So ABC, CBS, and NBC. 2 running on CBS. But none on Fox. So they're still cranking them out. DC's Absolute line tops Marvel, drives Absolute Batman animated. So don't care about that. Mark, the modern soap is the show like the Kardashians and Love Island. Yeah, good point. And they're a little more racy and people know them more, I guess. A little more internet savvy. Disney less interested in Marvel Comics eyes licensing. Following Disney's latest round of cuts and restructuring at Marvel, including, oh boy, this could be really bad. Including the elimination of Marvel's visual development team and the exit of legendary artist Andy Park, I reached out to ask what's happening on the publishing side. What I'm hearing is Marvel Comics may be the next piece Disney steps back from. Insiders tell me Disney is less interested in publishing, no S, and is looking at more licensing out Marvel Comics rather than producing them in-house as it has for decades. Well, that'll be the end of Marvel. So, but on the upside, the comics might actually get better. I mean, if a company comes along and licenses the damn comics and they're paying Disney through the nose to license them, you're going to be damn sure they're going to make some pretty meat and potatoes comics that sell, because they are going to lose big money if they don't. So, as an example of where things may be headed, insiders pointed to X-Men Elsewhen, John Byrne's return to the characters he helped make famous. Yeah, I guess, but they didn't license it to him, did he? Did they? Maybe they did. I know that came out. The point insiders are making that Marvel looks increasingly content to license its characters. Yeah. Other publishers then build the books itself. Same goes for Star Wars. I'm absolutely not surprised by any of that. But are these comics worth licensing? I would say no. I don't want to work for Disney. I wouldn't want to pay them a giant licensing fee. Unless it was like, it would have to be a big company with deep pockets that licensed them for like 10 years and then completely remodeled the line, and Disney had some approval, obviously, but they weren't going to approve every effing word and page. Because I've heard that licensing through Disney is very, very strict. That's what I've heard. Because I know a couple of guys who did it through other companies, not these characters, but other characters, and they said it costs a lot of money. Disney has to approve everything, and that could be a very long, tedious process. You can't publish regular comics on a monthly basis unless you have some flexibility, I would say. Indie Phantom, wow, more daytime soaps than I thought. Wonder how many of the original cast. Probably few to none. However, great regular work if you can get it. Oh yeah, the guys who write soap operas, they're animals. they write every day. I kind of really admire them because they just crank it out every day. They literally write 5 days a week. They have to write like at least an hour's worth of stuff every single day. It's like that's intense. Mark, Disney makes more money selling Spider-Man bed sheets than Spider-Man comics. Yeah, but they're still leaving money on the table. They still could make good bank selling Spider-Man comics. And what they don't understand is eventually, like a long time from now, if there's no movies in production, who's going to buy the bed sheets if nobody remembers the character? But it's a long time. We're a long way from that. So they'll make their money. But, they're huge library. But these characters are trapped. Trapped at Marvel forever. Trapped in Disney forever. Oh well. Sad. Geeks and gamers. Pokemon stuff coming out. Paramount wins Harry Potter TV rights. Full MTV and Nickelodeon and Paramount schedule revealed. Alright. So, Paramount Network. Nickelodeon, Nick at Night. I mean, I still don't think they should have made Snape black, but it's going to make them money. Over at Breitbart, let's see what's happening in entertainment. American soundtrack. Grammy Award winner Andrea Pearson says, "It's for me and you, inspired by becoming an American citizen. I wouldn't trade it for anything." John Nolte, Supergirl is a super flop all over the globe, so he's covering that. See, when it gets to Breitbart and they cover it, you know it's bad. CNN staff panic over Paramount merger turned network bosses' office into psychiatrist couch. Dear God, people, get a grip. Many CNN employees are so worried over the evolving merger of Paramount and Warner Brothers Discovery that they have turned their boss's office into a makeshift psychiatrist couch, according to a report. I mean, Jesus. These people just don't get it. They're in a dying industry. I mean, these people might as well be driving a horse and buggy as a taxi. This industry is dead. There are YouTubers who regularly, and they do news, they regularly get way more viewers than CNN. Regularly. I started watching Asmongold about 6 months ago. He gets a crazy amount of hits. I mean, just a crazy amount, but not nearly as many as, say, like Joe Rogan. And I would argue you could learn way more from either one of them than you can from, not that I would depend upon either of those sources for, information, but I do learn stuff on occasion from them because they watch. I mean, Asmon watches interesting videos and Joe Rogan interviews interesting people. CNN, I don't trust that they're telling me anything truthful anymore. I don't know how they're on the air. I honestly don't. So, the only thing I can think of is that Ellison will come in, fire all these people, and replace them with people who actually are like, sort of like Barry Weiss. They actually want to do news and try to present it in a neutral, balanced way. Or they'll just close up shop and be done with it. I think what CNN really needs is a rebrand. I don't think you could call it CNN anymore and build it back up. I guess you could, but why dig yourself out of the hole? Just rebrand it the News Network and get a new logo and then just move on from there. Something like that. But yeah, they should be sweating. Mark, more libtards watch Fox than CNN. Yeah. Yes, they do. I mean, at least Fox News is kind of in the ballpark of reality. You still have to watch any network news with a grain of salt, but, some of these guys, I just watch stuff on YouTube now and get it. And I do the news blast every day. I'm reading various sites. I've got so much information coming in. And, I talk to other people, and, for instance, I was talking to someone, I don't want to say who, but they didn't know about the gangs, the terrible gangs in the UK, right? Like, they hadn't heard about it. Not because they're dumb, or it's just because it's not something covered on the regular news. It's very dark. And, but yeah, it's all over the internet. It's bad. It's super bad. The report on the gangs in the UK came out, the terrible gangs, the ones I'm talking about. And it's horrific. It's absolutely horrific, but it's not really being reported in the mainstream media. Indie Phantom, CNN is so bad. I used to Rumble and YouTube mostly. Or I used Rumble and YouTube mostly. Yeah. Yeah, me too. If I want to see a breakdown of something, I might watch Crowder and he'll make it funny, kind of. And or I'll maybe go to New York Post or whatever. Trump hate crime hoaxer Jussie Smollett, remember him? Mocked and returned to limelight after a Harlem Pride show. Did he sing his #1 hit, This Is MAGA Country? Ha! Jimmy Kimmel taps Rosie O'Donnell to host late night show in his absence. So I know you're looking forward to that. Mel Brooks turned 100. And let's see. Oh, gay comedian Tim Dillon bashes Pride Month insanity from pro sports pride nights to companies pushing pride branding. I didn't even know this. I've seen this comedian on Joe Rogan and a couple other places. I didn't even know he was gay. And the reason I say that is because he didn't make being gay his personality or his act. He's just a comedian who happens to be gay. And he's funny. So, but, I mean, now I know he's gay, but so what? Doesn't matter. It never mattered. He's already proven himself funny. He didn't start out by like saying, hey, I'm gay, laugh at my jokes, you homophobe. Indie Phantom, LOL. More on Supergirl. And Bill Maher says, my vote is in play if Dems go to DSA direction of anti-Semitism, no prisons, anti-capitalism. Yeah, mostly everybody is. Which is why we still have a good shot at the midterms, I think. Not to get completely trounced, I hope. But you never know. Joy Behar declares she is embarrassed to be an American. We all should be. Shut up, Joy Behar. I was going to say something nasty, but I stopped myself. Joy Behar is so annoying. I don't know why she's on TV. I don't know how she got a job. I don't know why The View exists. It's just a nightmare. Charlemagne the God rebukes Obama for calling Trump two-faced. Okay. Actor Edward Norton blasts Trump as worse than Nixon by far. Oh, here we go. Anti-science New York Times blames misogyny for Supergirl's historic flopola. Indie Phantom, Supergirl is just everywhere in all my feeds, and I am loving it. Oh yeah, everybody's covering this thing. Here it is again. That Park Place. Supergirl failed with surprising audience groups. American women and Chinese audiences abandon Miley Alcock. Should have just smiled and looked pretty, Miley. Here's a review. Supergirl is science fiction without logic, starring a Supergirl without hope. That sounds pretty good. That sounds like a pretty good assessment. Critical Drinker blasted the movie. Oh man, he just absolutely destroyed it. DC Studios boss admits Supergirl is a box office flop but says no changes are coming. Yeah, it makes sense. Indie Phantom, shut up, Norton, you woke fool. All right, let's wrap up with the New York Post. I don't want to read that story. Here we go. Woke Harris politician blames Americans and our air conditioning for Europe heat wave that's killed 1,300 people. Yeah, that makes sense. Thousands of miles away, we're running the air, and it's probably somehow heating up France. Yeah, that's solid logic. Solid climatard logic. Speaking of heat, we're going to get blasted July 4th, so strap in for that. Trump must pony up $5 million to E. Jean Carroll after SCOTUS refuses Prez appeal of sex abuse defamation verdict. Oh, wow. Mark. So the same guys who could not push Masters of the Universe over the top are responsible for Supergirl flop. Maybe. Are they? Indie Phantom, she looks sweeter in that pic. We learned that Hollywoke is still pimping for feminists and are all losers. That's right. Let me see. For Masters of the Universe. Is this a Warner Brothers thing? Mm-hmm. Let me see. The IMDb. All right. So it's directed by Travis Knight. Why do I bother? Let me go to the AI. What people worked on both Supergirl and Masters of the Universe? Let's see. No, all different. What companies own Supergirl and Masters of the Universe? Universe. DC Comics, Mattel, and so Mattel is completely separate. So, no, not the same people. Just would be the media, I think you mean. Yeah. I think the media you're referring to. But, yeah, I don't think they cared about anything. The media is just... The entertainment media just does anything for money, in my opinion. Oh, this was hilarious. Scott Wiener, who's a weirdo congressman he's going to be a weirdo congressman. He's running for Nancy Pelosi's seat, in my opinion. He got blasted. He went to a trans march, and all the trans people grilled him about Palestine because I guess they're all further radicalized than he is. And he had to leave. The people in that movement have become super radical and I think anti-Semitic. So it was not a good thing, but you can't feel sorry for the guy because he kind of created the monster that's now eating his political career. And he still might get elected. That's the weird thing. I messed up. Hold on. Is there any... Luigi Mangione got stuck in an elevator and they pushed his trial back to 2027 already. It's ridiculous. Oh, a jet skier got crushed. See this little land bridge over here? It broke off and crushed a jet skier on vacation. It was called Kissing Elephants. That's a shame. I think that's about it. Oh, wait. Babyface street gang named McKillville waged year-long turf war in working-class New York City Nabe. Oh, sounds bad. Scientists want to deploy real cyborg cockroaches to explore The unknown on Earth and possibly Mars. That sounds fun. And I think that's about it. And more on Erica Kirk and Tyler Robinson. That trial goes on forever as well. So, I think Taylor Swift got married. And that's about it. All right. What did we learn today? Indie Phantom said we learned that Hollywoke is still pimping for feminists and are all losers. Mark said, I was speaking of influencers like Neurotic pushing for the Masters of the Universe. Ah, okay. Well, I don't think they have that much influence, quite frankly. No offense to Nerdrotic. I think Nerdrotic, probably has some influence, but I just don't think they have. Here, I'll leave this on here while we wrap up. I don't think he has enough influence to push a movie over the top. But he does have over 1 million followers. But I don't know if they all listen to him. That number is a number that you can't really confirm that 1 million people are listening to him. Like out of that, like some percentage of the people listen to the podcast, and then some percentage of them agree. So, Indie Phantom, gonna bolt, Tony. We learned a lot. I will see you next time. Thanks for coming, Indy. Enjoy the end of the Super Shills. Yeah, we basically just talked about Supergirl nonstop and the box office. So that's it. That's it. And we moved to Monday, of course. So I want to thank you guys for joining me on Monday night. I think this is going to be our new place. It's going to be our new time slot, Mondays at 7, simply because, again, I'm too busy on Sundays now, and it's just become a problem. So Mondays, it's a lot easier. I can relax, have a good time. I feel more relaxed. Don't I feel more relaxed? I think I am. So I want to thank you guys for tuning in. What's coming up for me? Let's see. July 3rd and 4th, I'll be at the Hamilton celebration of the 250th birthday of America. Indie Phantom, yeah, I usually listen to about 30 minutes of Friday Night Tights each week. Yeah, I mean, they're good. I listen to them once in a while. I can't, tune in for hours, but sometimes. And that's about it for me this week. I'm just doing July 4th, and then next week I got some other stuff going on. Eventually, I'm doing the Tennessee Smoky Mountain event for Bigfoot, and that's at the end of the month, and I'm pretty psyched. I'm going to Tennessee for it, and I'll be doing a talk on the Jersey Devil in Tennessee. They invited me down and paid me and everything, so it's going to be great. Very psyched for it. But until then, I'm Tony D. This is Little Joan, somewhere here, and Stella. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next one.